Here's Theron Thereseelan to lie about the labor theory of value and fail to debunk a TikTok giving an example of it.
Good morning. I just poured myself a cup of tea and decided to browse this lovely site known as TikTok. Oh fudge's sake. The labor theory of value. What the heck is that? Well, it is the idea that the value of a product is derived from the average number of labor hours needed to produce said product. But since the 19th century, this theory has not been favoured by most mainstream economists.
Because they're not taught Marx.
And hopefully I don't get an aneurysm.
So I have this piece of paper that cost me 1 penny. If you wanted to buy it, I would sell it to you for 1 penny because that is its market value. Okay. I labored to turn that piece of paper into this crane. Okay. If the market value of this crane is $1, that means my labor created 99 cents of value. My labor is therefore worth 99 cents.
That seems fair, but keep in mind that the quote-unquote market value is derived from the demand of your product from customers, which will be very important later on.
This was Proletariat Brain's argument in favor of marginalism, and here's one of 2 points I want to make as to why it doesn't refute anything, nor is it relevant. Even if we were to take products that accumulate in market value with seemingly little labor put into it, like wine, for instance, there's still the maintenance, i.e. making sure it's not broken, the temperature is right, it's secure, there's no bacteria in it, stuff like that. Proletariat Brainlet simply refused to engage with this, boiling his argument essentially down to nuh-uh. Also, consumers representing some sort of abstract demand isn't what sets the value of products, because products aren't going to fall exactly congruently with what consumers demand in terms of their prices. Effort has to be exerted into a product to make it exist, otherwise it isn't priced if it doesn't exist.
Would it be fair for someone else who didn't do any work to take 90 cents from me just because I happened to make this crane in their house? No, of course not. That would basically be stealing.
Depends. Did you need that house in order to increase the market value of your product, or to make that product?
I'd assume that's what this TikToker is probably saying. It's a bad analogy on their end. I interpret this general idea to mean that the capitalist is giving them the means to produce the crane, i.e. the constant capital to produce the crane, even though the value of constant capital is generated via labor.
For example, a customer may be more attracted to go to your burger business if you are in a large physical restaurant with a comfortable eating space. They may not buy your burger if you are selling it from the streets. Moreover,
what begets the value of the restaurant's interior? Carpenters have to design the facility eloquently, and a decorator has to buy furniture from laborers to make the place look sophisticated. I can see elements of labor in pretty much every one of these examples capitalists bring up.
The owner's machinery and materials contributed to the market value of the product, significantly diminishing the product's labor value.
And what begets the value of the machinery and materials, both of which Marx calls constant capital? Labor had to be exerted into those commodities to produce their value. This is the quintessential Marxist critique of capitalists. Most of them just move money around in a portfolio and reap most of the profits.
You may say it is unfair for the owner to own the means of production, but the owners spent their own money on such useful means of production when they could have instead spent it on entertainment and consumer goods like the worker. The owner had denied themselves short-term satisfaction for a chance at long-term success. I will explain the extent of this phenomenon.
Again, you're omitting the simple fact that even the value of constant capital is produced by labor, most of whom are paid via wages.
In just a moment.
So you agree that wage labor is theft?
No, because business owners are not guaranteed a profit, while wage laborers are guaranteed wages via their legally binding...
That's just wrong. Your boss can choose to lower your wages at any time, revoke your medical and dental insurance at any time, extend your hours at any time, revoke PTO anytime, and of course, fire you at any time.
Contracts. And businesses are a risky business.
Human traffickers take risks, hitmen take risks, terrorists take risks, Russia is taking what's probably the biggest risk in its history right now. Just because you're taking a risk doesn't mean what you're doing is ethical.
On average, businesses don't make a profit until the 3rd year, with few exceptions like companies with low overheads.
Hold up, let me find the world's smallest violin.
Within a year of starting a business, only 80% of American small businesses survive, and after 5 years, only half of small businesses still survive. 70% of these small businesses have outstanding debt, so when they most likely fail, as indicated by the data, they will still have to pay their debt that funded their failed business ventures. The worker, on the other hand, assuming they didn't start a business, did not have to sacrifice having an income for years, or have to pay business debts. To put it simply, workers have wage stability, which the owner doesn't have, so are justified in earning profit.
There are multiple things wrong with these claims. The first one is that, as we've proved, workers don't have wage stability due to the fact that one's living is entirely discretionary, i.e. the employer can revoke your employment at any moment. Second is that literally, what does any of this have to do with the fact that the prices of commodities are set by labor time? Why is it that whenever libertarians, excluding neoliberals besides just the facts, talk about the LTV, they pivot to the capitalist investment and surplus value extraction, which is what I think the TikTokers' content was addressing.
You might retort that the worker suffers under capitalism, but I have addressed this in other videos.
Well, no, because when you're a wage worker, you're working for someone. They made an investment and took on all the risk. Like, it's fair for them to take some.
Look at that. No straw man. He explained the counter-argument well, except for the data that I just mentioned.
And the counter-arguments, which I've debunked here on my show. Through a ceiling, you have utterly failed to prove that the prices of commodities are set by labor times, and you've also failed to justify the extraction of surplus value, which you've pivoted to. Thus, the LTV has stood strong and continues to have not been repudiated.